Good afternoon.
Yes.
Today is November 30th November 2012. I am speaking with Dr. Romesh Raina of Kashmir, and this interview is being conducted in Delhi. Dr. Raina, what's your desh? What's your homeland?
Well, I belong to Kashmir.
Okay.
And I have been born and brought up there. I studied there. I spent my youth. I spent my emotions.
What's the name? Is it a village or a town? And what's the name of the place where you grew up?
I grew up, that's called Raina-ISPaD.
Raina-ISPaD.
It is in the heart of capital. It belongs to district Srinagar.
Srinagar.
Yes.
So it's within the city itself.
Exactly.
It's a neighborhood. Raina-ISPaD.
Very true.
Okay. So can you tell us how was the neighborhood like? How many buildings? How many houses? How many people? Was it a mixed neighborhood? Was it residential and what kind? Tell us a little bit. As far as
Raina-ISPaD is geographically very important to Srinagar in the sense that it was a mini township of its own, which had its own characteristics, like it was very close to Dal. Whatever communication trade route during the past used to travel through Raina-ISPaD because of the sea adjoining Raina-ISPaD. That is number one. It was out and out perfect residential place to live in, and it had a mixed population, but Kashmiri Pandits used to enjoy an edge over as far as the number of
Pandits means Kashmiri Hindus.
Yes, exactly.
They were numerically majority.
A few notches.
Okay, but half enough. So did you have a school there?
Yes.
Did you go to school there?
Yes, I studied in DAV Higher Secondary School, Raina-ISPaD.
DAV?
Yes.
What is DAV stands for?
Dayanand Anglo-Vedic Higher Secondary School.
Okay. You studied from which grade to which grade?
Right from the beginning.
Beginning up to high school?
Up to higher secondary elective.
Elective.
Yes.
And then?
Then I went to college, SP College.
What is SP stand for?
Sri Pratap College.
Sri Pratap College in Srinagar?
Yes, in Srinagar.
And you studied there, got your bachelor's degree?
Yes. No, not bachelor's. First TDC, and afterwards I joined MBBS.
Also in Srinagar?
Yes, Government Middle College, Srinagar.
So, tell us how you used to go to school. How was the, how was it by bus or walking or rickshaw?
My school was very near. In fact, it would take me hardly 5 minutes from my home to go to the school.
Okay. So you walked by yourself?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And did you have other brothers and sisters to go?
I have 3 sisters.
3 sisters?
Yes.
They also went to that school or
No, there was another school called Westbury Higher Secondary School.
Okay.
Westbury Higher Secondary School was exclusively for girls.
Girls, okay. So they used to go there.
Exactly.
Now, tell us about your house, about your family.
Well, my grandfather had 3 sons. My father, my 2 uncles. Out of that, unfortunately, we lost our youngest uncle at a prime age of 40. That was probably 1983.
Okay.
And now we have my father and my uncle.
Okay. In that house, tell us a little bit of the house. How did it? Was it a small house, big house, multi-story brick building?
No, it was a 3-story old traditional house.
Okay.
And
what does that mean, traditional?
Traditional means it was almost 100 years old.
Okay.
And ours was essentially a joint family.
Okay.
We were living in a joint. Even the culture of joint families still is here.
Okay.
It prevails. We have allowed it to persist.
Okay. So uncles and essentially uncles and their families with
grandfather, grandmother, everybody.
And did you have a courtyard? Did you have a open space, or is just a urban 3-story building?
Lot of open space. In fact, we had a lot of facilities for sports. We had such a
within your building itself.
Yes, within our
compound.
Oh yes, within our compound
Okay.
only. In fact, all the people from neighborhood used to enjoy playing in our courtyard.
Okay. Is it a brick building? Is it a wooden building?
No, it was made of brick.
Brick, okay.
And not so aesthetically decorated, because I said that it was very old. In fact,
Yeah.
it was 100 years old.
Okay. How many generations you lived there, you think?
I saw my grandfather there, then
Okay.
I saw my parents there.
And what about before that? Did they live in a village or something?
No, there itself.
So
my great-grandfathers were there.
So they were all lived in, many generations lived in urban areas.
Yes.
Okay. What's the name of your parents?
My father's name is Pandit Makhanlal Raina.
Okay, and for mother?
Mrs. Mohan Pyari Raina.
And professions?
My father he retired as a class 1 gazette officer from the state.
From what? From the government?
From government, yes.
And mother?
Mother was a domestic wife.
Okay. Now, so what happened? As you're growing up, how was the life like? What changed for you?
See, till we left.
When?
We left in 1990.
Why?
There are two parts of your question. One part is that how was the life?
Yes.
And another part is then when did we go? You see, let me come to the first part of your question. The first part of question deals with the life in Kashmir. I think life in Kashmir was very easy. We didn't know who is a Muslim, who is a Hindu. And we grew up like very good people, like very sporting people. In case there would be any problem in the Mohalla, all of us used to join together and help each other. There was a lot of camaraderie, there was a lot of brotherhood, and neighborhood surroundings were very good. In fact, at no point of time did we realize that something was likely to happen. All of a sudden in 1990, late 1989, some bombs started exploding, people started getting killed.
In your neighborhood?
No, not in the entire valley of Kashmir.
Okay.
And the news spread like wildfire, and one of the incidents which shattered our confidence, which shattered our security, which shattered our existence, was killing of Pandit Tiklal Teplu. He was gunned down on 14 September 1989.
Okay, still remember.
He was the tallest leader of Kashmiri Pandits those days. His killing sent shivers down the spine.
Why was he killed?
There are so many reasons, but primarily that he belonged to a minority community called Kashmiri Pandits. That was one reason. Another was that there was a grand design of forcing minorities to leave that place.
Okay.
And essentially they would target those people who had a name, who would so-called represent the minority community. By killing them, it would mean that they have been rendered as orphans, politically orphans, a headless community. And exactly it served the desired result. When Tiklal Teplu was killed, the whole community was in panic. And that was the day people started rethinking about staying in the valley of Kashmir.
Even though you have lived there for many generations?
Exactly.
And what about, was this secondary leaders? There was none amongst the Hindus?
No, there were many.
Muslims?
No, there were many. Then another thing happened was there was killing of Mr. N.K. Ganju, Nilakant Ganju. Nilakant Ganju was a judge. He was the same judge who gave death sentence to Maqbool Bhatt.
Okay.
So when he was gunned down, things started becoming clear that the motive is that the Kashmiri Pandits...
But similarly, what about the Muslims? Were they not gunned down? Prominent Muslims, I mean.
See, the story of Muslim killing is slightly different than Kashmiri Pandit killing, because Kashmiri Pandits used to be a very important cushion for coexistence. Okay. They represented the pluralistic identity of Kashmir. Now, Kashmir being a Muslim majority state, the pluralistic identity of Kashmir was represented by the minorities because they were enjoying an important minority space there. When you start gunning down their leaders, when you start gunning down their prominent people, so that means something terrible is amiss. Therefore, this comparison with Muslim killing is slightly inappropriate.
But okay. So then what happened? What did your family do?
The first thing is that the impact of these killings was that Kashmiri Pandits at the individual level, Kashmiri Pandits at the collective level, Kashmiri Pandits at the community level, Kashmiri Pandits at the family level started thinking of their future, because insecurity had gripped him. There was a pattern in these killings. One important pattern was kill one, scare 1,000.
Okay. It's a terrorism. Terrorists
Exactly.
do that.
Exactly. This strategy did work. It created a scare in the minds of the people.
What about the government's role? Did they have any role?
I don't think, because at that point of time, gun ruled the roost.
Okay.
And as a result, the democratic structure of the polity came down crumbling, because it was only the gun, gun, gun and gun. Beyond that, there was nothing.
Yeah. So what happened to your family then? What did they do?
Well, I had a small kid. My parents were already out in Delhi. So I was left with only myself, my wife and my child.
You're in your house?
Yes, in my house. Then we started thinking what to do next. When there was a spate of killings, one important leader, another important leader, during the passage of 3-4 months got killed. And then finally we decided that we should leave that place on 19th of January 1990. That is how we left.
How did you leave?
I left in my own car.
In your car?
Yes.
What happened to the house?
I left it like that.
Was there any other relation that you left with?
Yes, I think my couple of aunties were there.
Okay.
But they also took their own decision, and within a span of 2-3 months, everybody was out.
So how is the house? They just locked it?
We did lock it, but after 4-5 months, 6 months, they gutted it down. Our whole house was burned down.
Oh.
It was reduced to ashes. Nothing was left there. We had important books. We had a very rare collection of books. We had so many things. In fact, it was the whole household of many generations.
Yes.
You never know what precious things were.
It was, of course, nobody could come. Nobody came to douse the fire.
Well, that is not known, because we were out. We were only communicated that your house has been gutted down.
Okay.
It's very difficult. Some of our neighbors, and it came out in papers also.
Papers also.
Yes.
Okay. And did you ever? So did you? What happened to other neighbors? Did some of them stay there, or did
No.
So entire
mohalla was
Raina-ISPaD, no? The neighborhood.
Entire neighborhood in that place left maybe within a span of 5-6 months or 1 year at the best.
So that it's all of them are empty now.
All of them are empty. In our mohalla, there's no Kashmiri Pandit staying.
Okay. And have you ever gone back to visit?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
I did not go.
Okay. Did somebody take over the property, or is it occupied by somebody?
No, we had to dispose it off under duress.
Okay.
Because while we were in Delhi, we also needed some shelter. We were in rented accommodation, and how long could we pull on like that? Then we had to sell it off to purchase a small place.
Did you sell it to a Muslim family?
Exactly, yes. There was nobody who could purchase other than Muslims.
And did you get justified price?
No, it's a very difficult question to say whether we got the justified price or not, but I believe not, because number one, we were not there. Number two, we didn't know the market prices at that point of time.
Okay.
We tried to struggle out what is the market price and all that. Whether we got a correct feedback is very difficult to say.
Okay. So did you get any compensation from anybody?
Yes, government of J&K did give us a compensation of 1 lakh rupees for the property that was gutted down.
For torching it. So what about your Muslim friends? What what was their reaction when you left?
It's very difficult to say. It's very difficult to say. You see, it is 22 years down the line.
Yeah, but
a new generation has been born and brought up without any contact or without any communication with their Kashmiri Pandits.
Yeah.
And the influence of this generation is more over their parents. Some parent might have wished to think in terms of talking to Kashmiri Pandits or in terms of having a healthy exchange or communication. But what happens is that the circumstances overtake him, the situations overtake him. Because of militancy, because of so many factors and impact of militancy, this communication has been held hostage to the impact of militancy to a large extent.
Yeah. Do you know of any Hindu family that stayed there, in spite of most, as you said, neighborhood, everybody left. Did you know of anybody who were able to stay?
Yes, there are a few. I think there are about 3,000 persons at the moment in Kashmir.
In all of the valley, you mean?
I believe, yes.
Okay, and in your neighborhood?
No.
Okay. Do you know why, for example, why, for example, in Jammu, which is in your case, is a Hindu majority, but still there are Muslims who are able to stay, but in the valley, which is a Muslim majority, also Kashmir, that the Hindus were not able to stay. That is, in one minority is able to stay, and the other minority has not been able to stay. Do you have any idea why so?
See, I'll tell you one thing. It's a great dilemma. The dilemma is that the Muslim majority of Kashmir is being linked with the main Muslim minority of India. And the Kashmiri Pandit minority of Kashmir is being linked with the main Hindu majority of India. So this dilemma somehow has prevailed, and its impact is seen in the valley of Kashmir. And this is one dilemma.
But the Muslims are connecting with the Muslim in rest of India. Rest of India Muslims are staying with the Hindus.
Very true. Very true.
So and they are minority, but they are staying there.
Very true.
So, but that has not influenced, though. Then you think the Kashmiri Muslims who are majority to tolerate their minority.
No, I'm coming to that.
Yeah.
You didn't listen
okay.
my whole
Sorry.
argument.
Yeah.
Part number two is that the geographic proximity of Kashmir with Pakistan has great deal to offer to the present situation. We have to understand, when the partition took place under two-nation theory, Pakistan has always justified Kashmir problem in terms of unfinished agenda of partition. And whenever they talk about Kashmir, they say it's a core agenda. They say something. And this argument has been registered in the minds of the people.
People of Pakistan as well as Kashmir?
Exactly. Now, when you see this argument in terms of separatist movement being launched in Kashmir, what is the argument? The argument is essentially, it is being divided into two places. The government of J&K is being said that this government is to look after the issues of governance. That means civic amenities, administration, food distribution, so on and so forth. But as far as permanent and everlasting solution is concerned, therefore there is the separatist sentiment. So what I mean to say is that the separatist sentiment is alive. Separatist movement is alive as long as this argument is alive that the core agenda is
Kashmir. So when you came to, did you come to Delhi or did you come to Jammu?
No, I straightway came to Delhi.
Delhi. Were you ever discriminated because you're from Kashmir, is a minority in Delhi? All the Hindu. Or
No,
did
not
you
at
face
all.
any?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
Okay. Do you think what would be the future then of Kashmiri Hindus? Do you think they would ever be able to go back?
See, I'm basically not a pessimist.
Okay.
I believe that if India has to grow, Kashmir will also grow along with India. The hard fact is it's not the politics, it is the economics which dictates the current politics of, in fact, global politics. And we have seen, for the past 20 years, we have seen the profile of India getting changed. When the profile of India gets changed, obviously the profile of Kashmir also gets changed, because the Kashmir has to invest both in terms of intellect, both in terms of culture, both in terms of relationship within India. So it may be a matter of maybe a decade or so till there is a generalized realization that our future ultimately lies with India. In fact, the process has begun. The process is very much, the process of assimilation in Kashmir is very much on. But there are two things. It may not be visible to you, it may not be visible to me. When that process of assimilation reaches a stage when we realize, no, this process of assimilation is incomplete without the participation of Kashmiri Pandits, and that stage is slowly coming. And to that extent, Kashmiri Pandits might think in terms of getting back. But the hard fact of the story is, the hard fact of the situation is that we have been victims of political mismanagement. Kashmiri Pandits all along during these 22 years have felt that the minority space in the valley has been reduced. In fact, there is no minority space in the valley at the moment, and that is why our arguments have been all along that we want a political protection through constitutional means. Now, all these questions are interlinked. One question is that we are looking at a process which encourages assimilation of Kashmir in terms of its intellect, in terms of its resource, in terms of its culture, in terms of its relation with India. And I say that this process is on. Then another thing is, the part of the process has to be, there has to be a growing realization that this process is incomplete without the participation of Kashmiri Pandits. And that process is yet to take off, though it is taking baby steps. But ultimately, once this process takes off, if that realization is visible, if you find the visibility of that relationship, then comes the question of Kashmiri Pandits getting a political protection through constitutional means.
And do you think that realization is there with the majority Muslims of Kashmir?
At the moment,
that the assimilation and these aspects of what you are mentioning?
See, I'll tell you one thing. Assimilation is not something like you take an apple and eat it.
No.
Assimilation is a gradual process. There are so many features. For example, if you look at the present situation, there are so many Kashmiri technocrats, both doctors, professionals, who are out of Kashmir in search of employment, are working in Delhi and throughout India.
Yeah.
That is one feature of this process. And when their interaction is with those people, with that atmosphere, with that culture, with that climate, which doesn't have overtones of terrorism, which doesn't have overtones of fundamentalism, which is a free and fair atmosphere, at least away from all these things. When they go and catch up with this atmosphere, if they remain part of this atmosphere, maybe a decade or something, they go back with their experiences and try to relate it with their people. That is how the process of assimilation grows, and it bears fruits.
Yeah, thank you. Now I'm almost at the end. Do you think anybody benefited because of partition of India?
I don't think so.
Okay. And is there anything else you'd like to add that I didn't ask? Comes to your mind?
Personally, I think that since you are the person who travels almost across the globe with your ideas specifically focused on various issues that concern the humanity, I don't see it a question in terms of Hindus or Muslims, but I see a question which pertains to the humans. And in this question, the global community has been only exposed to one argument, and that is they say that Kashmir essentially is a Muslim problem. It is a Muslim problem in a secular India. But my argument would be that the Hindu dimension of this problem has not been exposed to the extent as it ought to have been.
Okay.
Migration is only a tip of iceberg of this problem. Essentially, the Hindu dimension of the problem starts from pre-Sultanate area. Pre-Sultanate area means that if we go 800 years back and look at the history of Kashmir, it was all Hindus. Yeah. Therefore, the most important aspect of this whole issue is that we need to tell the global community about the Hindu dimension of this problem, which is very important to understand this whole issue.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much.